What drives a person to risk everything: their fortune, their reputation, even their sanity for an idea the world calls impossible? Is it madness? Or is it the very spark that rewrites history? Meet Elon Musk, the man who turned impossible into his middle name. From the electric car company Tesla, which he rescued from bankruptcy, to SpaceX, which he launched after being laughed out of the industry, to Neuralink and the Boring Company, which some say will change the world and others say are just plain weird. But it's not just about his companies, it's about his vision. A man who dares to dream big, to question the status quo, and to push the boundaries of what's possible. But how do you become the world's richest man and still not be satisfied? What drives a man like Elon Musk? What makes him keep going when everyone else has given up? What does it take to be a true innovator? What is the price of dreaming too big? The story of Elon Musk is one of extraordinary success, but it's not a tale of birthright or privilege. Born in Pretoria, South Africa in 1971, Musk's journey began in a modest family home in a country rife with political turmoil. His father, a renowned engineer, and his mother, a dietitian, had 2 divorces between them, leaving young Elon shuttling between households. While they provided him with love and care, there was little else they could do to shield him from the harsh realities of apartheid. As he grew up, Musk didn't just observe these societal divisions, he felt their sting firsthand. He was bullied at school and struggled to find his place in a society that seemed determined to limit his potential. It wasn't just the societal constraints. Even at home, young Elon sometimes felt misunderstood, an alien in his own family. In one telling incident, he spent 2 full days in his room without anyone noticing, highlighting the disconnect between a boy who was always there and the indifference of those around him. These experiences weren't merely formative for Musk, they were a crucible that forged his character. Just as gold is refined in the fires of the earth, so was Musk's determination tempered by these adversities. He channeled his frustrations into his studies, finding solace and strength in books on science and engineering. By the time he was 9 years old, he was already devouring computer manuals. Laying the groundwork for the tech genius he would become, his passion for science fiction also took root during this time, offering him a refuge from the confines of his reality and planting the seeds for his audacious plans to colonize Mars. However, unlike many of his peers, Musk wasn't satisfied with just dreaming of distant galaxies. He wanted to be a part of them, so he began to take small but significant steps towards his goals, steps that would one day change the world. Musk's story is a testament to the human spirit, a reminder that even amidst societal divisions and personal struggles, one can rise to achieve the extraordinary. It's a tale that transcends his remarkable accomplishments and delves into the core of what drives us: the will to overcome, to innovate, and to dream beyond the boundaries of our world. As we delve deeper into this series, we'll explore how these early experiences shaped the man, the myth and the legend of Elon Musk. Most people know about Elon Musk's rise to success, how he co-founded X.com, which later merged with Confinity to create the giant online payment platform PayPal. And then there's his current success with Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, and the Boring Company. But what most people don't know are the really dark times that Elon experienced right after PayPal. Right after PayPal, Elon sold his share in the company for about $180 million. But that didn't make him a billionaire yet. He had made hundreds of millions from PayPal, but that didn't mean he was rich. After PayPal, Musk poured his fortune into 2 companies, SpaceX and Tesla. He wanted to revolutionize 2 industries with these companies, space and automobiles. But this wasn't a golden road to riches. It was a long and difficult path. When Musk poured his money into these ventures, the world thought he was reckless. Rockets were the domain of governments, and electric cars were dismissed as impractical toys for hobbyists. Investors walked away. Analysts ridiculed him. Even friends told him to stop. Musk didn't listen. He continued pouring money into these ventures even when he had nothing left. In the beginning, SpaceX failed again and again. Their first 3 rocket launches ended in explosions. Each explosion took them closer to the edge of failure. By 2008, they had almost run out of money. If their 4th launch failed, SpaceX would die. This is what happened. They launched the rocket. Everyone waited with bated breath as the rocket ascended. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion. Everyone gasped. The rocket had exploded again, but this time something was different. This time, there was no one to blame but themselves. No external factors, just their own mistakes. Musk gathered his team. He told them the harsh truth. They had one last chance. If they failed again, investors would pull out and the company would die. They went back to the drawing board. They fixed the problems that had been plaguing them. Finally, they were ready for launch. On their fourth attempt, the Falcon 1 rocket reached orbit. It wasn't just a technical success. It was a victory against all odds. Within weeks, NASA awarded them a $1.6 billion contract. This saved SpaceX and made them a legitimate player in the aerospace industry. At the same time, Tesla was also going through hell. They were struggling to produce cars that actually worked while battling skepticism from the auto industry. They were drowning in debt, and no one believed in them. Somehow they survived. Elon had defied the odds and saved both companies. But this was not a time for celebration. Tesla was hanging by a thread. They needed more money, or they would go bankrupt. Musk managed to secure last-minute funding, and the company limped along. Looking back, we can say that this was a pivotal moment in Musk's life. He had chosen to defy the naysayers, and he had won. But this was not a fairy tale ending, not by a long shot. Employees left, critics sharpened their knives, and Musk was burnt out. He was a man living on the edge, juggling two collapsing empires. His personal life was in shambles. He had recently divorced and was battling depression, but he pushed on. He had 2 young kids to take care of, and a sick mother who needed surgery. He couldn't give up. He was not just trying to build companies. He was trying to build a better future for himself and his family. And in doing so, he created the blueprint for modern-day Silicon Valley. He showed that it's okay to fail as long as you learn from your mistakes and keep moving forward. Elon Musk is known for his innovative ideas and his ability to turn science fiction into reality. But what many people don't know is that his journey to success was not an easy one. In fact, it was marked by a series of setbacks and near bankruptcies. However, he used these challenges to his advantage and turned them into opportunities for growth and innovation. So here's how Elon Musk went from failure to success. When Elon Musk first started his career, he had big dreams, but he didn't have much money, so he decided to start his own businesses. One of his first ventures was Zip2, a web software company that provided business directories and maps for newspapers. But despite his best efforts, the company was not successful and was eventually bought out by another company. However, instead of giving up, Musk used the money from the sale to start another company, X.com, which would later become known as PayPal. As we all know, PayPal became one of the most successful online payment platforms in the world. Similarly, when Musk started his space exploration company, SpaceX, he had a big dream of making life multiplanetary, but he faced a lot of skepticism from people who thought it was a crazy idea. Despite this, Musk pressed on, and he launched the first private rocket into orbit in 2008. Although the rocket exploded during the landing, Musk used the data from the launch to improve his rocket technology and make it more efficient. This led to the successful launch of the Falcon 9 rocket in 2010, which has become one of the most reliable and cost-effective rockets in the world. In the same way, Musk's electric car company, Tesla, has also faced numerous challenges. But through it all, Musk has remained focused on his goal of creating sustainable energy solutions for the world. And today, Tesla is one of the most valuable car companies in the world, despite being one of the newest. The key takeaway from Musk's story is that failure is not the opposite of success. Instead, it's part of the journey. Every successful person has faced setbacks and obstacles, but it's their ability to learn from those challenges and keep moving forward that has made them successful. So if you're facing a setback, don't give up. Use it as an opportunity to learn and grow and keep moving towards your goals. Never know what opportunities might come your way. Momentum is a dangerous gift. It gives you speed, visibility, and influence. But it also demands more fuel, more ambition, and more daring leaps into the unknown. For Elon Musk, the years after Tesla's Roadster and SpaceX's Falcon 9 were not a time to slow down. They were a time to expand, to scale, and to take risks so large. They could either crown him as the architect of the future, or bury him beneath the weight of his own empire. Tesla's expansion began with the Model S, a sleek, luxury electric sedan that stunned the auto world. It wasn't just another car, it was a declaration of war against an industry that had resisted change for decades. Building the Model S required more than vision, demanded factories, supply chains, and billions of dollars. Tesla wasn't just a startup anymore. It was becoming a manufacturer entering a battlefield where giants like Toyota, Ford, and GM had ruled unchallenged. At the same time, SpaceX was scaling beyond contracts. Musk set his sights on Mars, announcing the ambitious plan to build the Starship, a fully reusable rocket capable of interplanetary travel. To many, it sounded absurd, a billionaire's fantasy. But for Musk, it was not just exploration, it was survival. He believed that if humanity didn't expand beyond Earth, it would eventually face extinction. Expansion wasn't just business, it was an existential philosophy. Expansion also meant entering new arenas. Musk founded Solar City, betting on renewable energy. Later, he acquired it into Tesla, aiming to create a vertically integrated clean energy ecosystem. Cars, batteries, and solar all under one roof. He also launched the Boring Company, an attempt to rethink urban transportation, and Neuralink, a bold leap into brain-computer interfaces. Each venture represented a new frontier, but also stretched his resources thin. Musk wasn't building one company. He was building a constellation of risky bets, each capable of collapse. The risks were monumental. Tesla's production lines stumbled, famously hitting what Musk called production hell. Investors doubted the company could ever scale profitably. SpaceX's massive ambition strained timelines and budgets. Musk's constant juggling between ventures raised questions about focus, leadership, and sustainability. Every expansion amplified the stakes. One failure could ripple across the ecosystem and threaten them all. And yet, Musk thrived in this tension. He operated on the edge of chaos, using risk as a weapon to stay ahead. While traditional companies moved slowly, burdened by bureaucracy, Musk moved fast, often recklessly, leveraging risk to force breakthroughs. Expansion was not just growth, it was acceleration, a refusal to play small in a world where time is the scarcest resource. The bigger you grow, the bigger your risks must become. For Musk, safety was stagnation. Expansion meant pushing the edge of feasibility until others were forced to catch up. In business, risk is often a threat. In Musk's world, it was the only way forward. The sun may rise and set on the vast expanse of the earth. But there's one thing that never changes: the presence of shadows. And just like the earth, every empire too has its shadows. You may bask in the glory of the light, but the shadows will always be there waiting. For Elon Musk, the story is no different. Because for all the triumphs of Tesla and SpaceX, Musk has often found himself at the center of storms, some created by external pressures and others by his own hand. In fact, the higher he climbed, the more visible his flaws became. And in business, visibility is a double-edged sword. Let's start with Tesla. Initially celebrated for its innovation, the company soon faced a barrage of criticism. Production delays turned into broken promises. Workers spoke out about grueling hours and intense conditions. Analysts questioned whether Tesla was inflating expectations to mask financial instability. There were times when Tesla teetered so precariously on the edge of collapse that headlines speculated about its weekly demise. Amidst the chaos, Musk, exhausted and defiant, famously slept on the factory floor, trying to embody the struggle of a company he refused to let fail. But it wasn't only Tesla. Musk himself became a lightning rod for controversy. His social media posts, unguarded, impulsive, and often provocative, triggered stock swings worth billions. One infamous declaration that he had funding secured to take Tesla private at $420 per share led to an SEC lawsuit, hefty fines, and the stripping of his Tesla chairmanship. What for Musk may have been a moment of unfiltered bravado was seen by regulators and investors as market manipulation. The media spotlight only intensified. Every misstep was magnified, every eccentric remark dissected. A casual appearance in an interview became a headline controversy. A heated online dispute during the Thai cave rescue effort escalated into a legal battle. With each passing incident, Musk's personal brand, so deeply intertwined with Tesla's corporate value, became increasingly fragile. Yet Musk never retreated into silence. Instead, he leaned into the storm, using his platform to attack short sellers, mock critics, and push back against what he called entrenched interests. His defiance resonated with supporters who saw him as a renegade fighting a corrupt system, but it terrified investors who preferred predictability over chaos. Thus, Musk had become both an icon of rebellion and a liability of unpredictability. And it wasn't just words. Controversies were not only reputational, they had real financial repercussions. Lawsuits piled up, competitors circled, and at one point, Tesla's valuation swung wildly with every word Musk spoke. SpaceX too faced its share of setbacks, with rockets failing mid-flight and doubts about timelines. Each controversy chipped away at stability. But through it all, Musk survived. He emerged from the turbulence with a hardened legend. Someone who not only stared down skeptics, but also overcame adversities that would have crushed lesser leaders. So what does Musk's story tell us? That leadership at the edge of innovation is inseparable from conflict? To break industries, you must break norms. And breaking norms invites backlash. In Musk's case, his controversies revealed the cost of radical transparency. Of a leader who refuses to filter himself for the comfort of the markets, sometimes genius walks hand in hand with chaos. And sometimes the very flaws that threaten to undo a leader are also the sparks that keep them unforgettable. Step into the ring, the new arena where titans clash. Today, Elon Musk stands not only as the CEO of companies, but as a cultural force. His influence stretches far beyond cars and rockets. With the acquisition of Twitter, rebranded boldly as X, Musk entered the volatile world of global media and free speech. For some, it was the natural next step of a man obsessed with shaping human conversation. For others, it was a reckless move that risked alienating allies and advertisers. Either way, Musk was no longer just building machines. He was now shaping the digital public square. Tesla, meanwhile, evolved into more than a car company. It became a technology and energy giant, producing batteries, solar panels, and even humanoid robots like Optimus. The brand was no longer about vehicles alone. It was about a vision of sustainable technology woven into every part of life. Musk's strategy blurred the lines between transportation, energy, and artificial intelligence, making Tesla both admired for its ambition and criticized for overextending its reach. At SpaceX, the dream grew bolder. The Starship program aimed not only to send humans back to the moon, but to establish a colony on Mars. The scale was unprecedented: rockets, taller than skyscrapers. Launches designed to be almost routine. SpaceX became the first private company to dominate a sector once controlled by superpowers, turning science fiction into something that felt increasingly inevitable. Musk's ventures also expanded into neuroscience with Neuralink, a company developing brain-computer interfaces. Critics called it dangerous, even dystopian. Supporters hailed it as the next frontier of human evolution. For Musk, it was another step in his belief that humanity must merge with machines to survive the rise of artificial intelligence. His companies were no longer solving today's problems. They were preparing for existential battles of tomorrow. Yet, the transformation of Musk himself was perhaps the most striking. Once the scrappy underdog fighting for survival, he had become the world's richest man, a symbol of both aspiration and controversy. His leadership style, once celebrated for its daring, was now scrutinized for its unpredictability. Was he still a visionary building the future, or had he become too entangled in power, ego, and distraction? The answer depended on who you asked. Despite criticism, Musk's companies remained at the center of relevance. Tesla continued to lead the EV revolution as governments worldwide embraced electrification. SpaceX dominated satellite launches with Starlink, reshaping internet access across the globe. Neuralink received approval for human trials. And X, for all its chaos, became a daily arena for politics, culture, and global conversation. Musk had become not just an entrepreneur, but an institution in himself, simultaneously admired, feared, and endlessly debated. The lesson of Musk's modern era is transformation. Empires that survive must adapt, and leaders who endure must reinvent themselves. Musk's journey shows that relevance is not a gift. It is a battle, fought daily against obsolescence. The question now is not whether Elon Musk can build companies, but whether his empire can sustain its momentum in a world that is catching up to his vision. After conquering the automotive and aerospace industries, Elon Musk's ambitions knew no bounds. This is the incredible story of how he built an empire that defied conventional thinking and took on challenges that seemed almost impossible. In the wake of his triumphs with Tesla and SpaceX, Musk's imagination refused to rest. To him, solving one global problem was never enough. Energy, transportation, infrastructure, artificial intelligence, and even the human brain itself became canvases for his next set of ventures. This chapter marks the phase in Musk's life where his ambitions expanded beyond cars and rockets into redefining the very systems that sustain civilization. To outsiders, it looked like chaos, one man scattering himself across impossible projects. To Musk, it was a singular mission to ensure the survival and advancement of humanity. Solarcity emerged as one of his earliest ventures into reshaping energy. Founded by his cousins, but driven by Musk's vision and capital, the company aimed to bring solar energy into the mainstream. The idea was elegant: to decentralize power generation, reduce dependence on fossil fuels, and make clean energy accessible to households and businesses. For Musk, this wasn't just about panels on rooftops. It was about rewriting the relationship between humans and the planet's energy resources. Solarcity was an early signal that Musk was not content with incremental progress. He wanted revolutions. But even energy was not enough. In 2013, Musk unveiled the concept of the Hyperloop, a futuristic transportation system that would fire passenger pods through vacuum tubes at near supersonic speeds. While many dismissed it as science fiction, Musk saw it as a logical next step. Why should humanity accept traffic jams and sluggish trains when physics offered faster solutions? The Hyperloop was less a commercial venture and more a provocation, a challenge to engineers and governments to dream bigger and build bolder. The Boring Company was another unconventional creation born out of Musk's frustration with Los Angeles traffic. His solution was characteristically radical: carve tunnels beneath cities to create new arteries of movement. With flamethrowers sold as novelty products and audacious projects like underground hyperloops, the Boring Company blurred the line between satire and serious engineering. Yet behind the spectacle was a real conviction: infrastructure. One of the slowest changing fields could be revolutionized with bold vision and relentless experimentation. Musk's gaze then turned to the frontier of the human brain. Neuralink, founded in 2016, sought to create brain-machine interfaces that could treat neurological diseases and eventually augment human cognition. To Musk, this was not optional, but urgent. Artificial intelligence, he warned, could outpace human intelligence within decades. The only defense in his mind was to merge with it. Neuralink represented both a technological moonshot and a philosophical wager: that humanity's survival might depend on evolving into something more than human. Equally transformative was Musk's involvement in artificial intelligence research. As a co-founder of OpenAI, he pushed for the development of AI systems that would remain aligned with human values rather than spiral into dystopian outcomes. Unlike his other companies, this one wasn't driven by profit, but by precaution. Musk's scroll highlighted the paradox of his worldview. He was both a builder of futures and a prophet of existential risks, trying to steer technology away from the very dangers he warned against. Taken together, these ventures show Musk's evolution from entrepreneur to architect of civilization. His projects were not random, but interconnected, each addressing a piece of the puzzle: energy, mobility, cognition, and survival. For Musk, reinventing industries was never about diversifying a business empire. It was about hedging humanity's bets against extinction and ensuring that civilization not only survives, but thrives. To some, this was hubris. To others, it was vision. But whether adored or criticized, Musk's relentless reinvention underscored a deeper truth. He was no longer just building companies. He was building the future itself. Elon Musk is often seen as a symbol of courage and innovation, but behind his ambitious public persona lies a heavy personal burden. He not only shoulders the responsibility of a multi-billion-dollar company, but also faces global expectations, that position him as a pioneer of humanity's future. This burden stems not only from external forces, but also from his own inner drive, a belief that he is destined to carry a greater mission that transcends personal interests. For Musk, the pressure is even more pronounced when he has to balance his personal and professional lives. As a father, Musk is known for having complicated family relationships. From his divorce with ex-wife Tallulah Riley, to his emotional conflict with his musician brother, Kimball, to struggling to stay close to his children, his personal life is as turbulent as his professional one. Time is not just a resource for him, but a sacrifice. Every hour he spends on one thing means less space for the other. This creates a constant dilemma for him, a sort of tragic hero in a modern-day Greek tragedy. On one hand, his public persona is that of a confident, almost godlike figure who can solve climate change, colonize Mars, and revolutionize multiple industries. On the other hand, he is a man grappling with the weight of these responsibilities, trying to be a good father while running multiple companies, pushing the boundaries of technology and facing the existential threat of climate change. In the public sphere, Musk often faces harsh criticism from the media, investors, and even his own employees. His tough, demanding, and sometimes over-the-top leadership style has made him a controversial figure. But beneath this tough exterior, Musk sees pressure as fuel to move faster, further, and more ambitiously. Criticism doesn't deter him, but rather serves as a catalyst for him to prove that he can exceed expectations. However, there are times when the intensity of his life brings him to a breaking point. Reports of extreme fatigue, faltering mental health, and even public moments where he appeared to lose control or lash out. These are all signs of a man under immense pressure. Musk is a man of paradox, a genius capable of extraordinary visions, yet also vulnerable to emotional distress and loneliness. What makes Musk's burden unique isn't just the magnitude of his personal problems, but his approach to them. He doesn't see suffering as an obstacle, but as a fair price for significant change. If a dream doesn't require sacrifice, then it's not big enough. And so, Musk pushes on, undeterred by the weight of his problems. But it's important to remember that while he seems larger than life, he is still human. He still feels the sting of failure, the weight of expectation, and the pain of being misunderstood. Ultimately, the burden of being Elon Musk is more than just a personal struggle for an eccentric billionaire. It's a reflection on the price of ambition, the loneliness of the top, and how a grand vision can be as heavy a burden as it is a source of pride. Musk is a living example that being a driving force of civilization also means bearing scars the world may never see, but which are always there behind those determined eyes. You can't define Elon Musk by just listing his companies or his net worth. That would be like trying to capture the 20th century by listing the wars or inventions. You have to look at the big picture. What did he do to the way we think? For me, Elon Musk's genius is not just about rockets, or electric cars, or brain chips. It's that he cracked open the future and showed us it doesn't have to be a straight line from what we got here. He broke the frame. When I was young, the future seemed limitless. We'd be living in flying cars, traveling to the moon, exploring other planets. Somewhere along the way, most of us lost that sense of wonder. The future became something predetermined by politicians and scientists working in secret, something distant and out of our control. Elon Musk's arrival onto the world stage coincided with a moment when people began to realize they had been sold a false future. What Musk understood was that people wanted back in. They wanted to believe again that humans could explore and innovate without limits. And so, he became the vehicle through which people could invest their hopes and dreams for a better tomorrow. The beauty of Musk's career is that he operates in multiple arenas. With SpaceX, he reignited our fascination with space. With Tesla, he turned the corner on electric cars. His ventures into solar power, batteries, brain implants, artificial intelligence, and high-speed transit all followed the same trajectory. He doesn't just build companies, he builds conviction. Elon Musk believes that humanity must not be confined to one planet, that we should be a multiplanetary species. For Musk, Mars is more than just a scientific curiosity. It's a philosophical necessity. In Musk's view, we need to expand the scope of our ambition. We need to think bigger, because if we don't, we limit ourselves. We diminish our potential. So much of Elon Musk's appeal is that he makes the unimaginable seem practical. He shows us the future and says, we can get there. But it's a double-edged sword. The problem with Elon Musk is that he is only human. While he is capable of incredible acts of generosity and kindness, he is also impulsive, reckless, and quick to anger. He makes bold statements that alienate people, and sometimes he lashes out in ways that are cruel and undignified. But these are not the qualities of a god. They are the qualities of a person. And in the end, that's what makes him so compelling. Elon Musk is not perfect. He does not have all the answers. But he is brilliant and flawed and completely human. And in that, he is the perfect symbol for our species. Elon Musk reminds us that we are capable of great things, but he also reminds us that the future is not predetermined. We get to decide how it unfolds. So in the end, the question is not, what will Elon Musk leave behind? But what will we leave behind? Because in many ways, Elon Musk is simply a symptom of our times, a distillation of our collective hopes and fears. He is both the product of the 21st century and its most dazzling ambassador. What we have just explored is not merely the story of Elon Musk. It is the reflection of humanity's restless ambition. From his turbulent childhood to reinventing industries, to carrying the burden of impossible dreams, Musk embodies both the brilliance and the fragility of human vision. His life reminds us that progress is never born in comfort, but in chaos, doubt, and relentless drive. And so the question turns back to us. If one individual can stretch the boundaries of what is possible, what limits are we allowing to hold us back? Musk's journey is not a blueprint to copy, but a challenge to dare, to confront our fears, to risk failure, and to dream so audaciously that the world has no choice but to follow. This is not the end of the story. It is only the beginning of a greater conversation about technology, humanity, and the fragile balance between ambition and responsibility. If this story moved you, I invite you to reflect, to share your thoughts, and to stay with us on this journey, because the future is still unwritten. And together, we will continue to explore it.